Now, I'll talk about the economics of digital newsrooms. Before getting into the discussion on the economics of digital newsrooms in India and abroad, I must explain media economics. What is media economics? So, media economics emerged and became instrumental in the dominant discourses in the past 40 years. It is the application and study of economic theories and concepts to the media industries. So, media economics encompasses all forms of media, including traditional media such as print, broadcasting, music, film, and new media formats such as internet. So, media economics involves the application of economic theories, concepts, and principles to study the macroeconomic and microeconomic aspect of mass media companies and industries. So, media economics combines the study of economics with the study of media. It is concerned with the changing economic forces that direct and constrain the choices of managers, media practitioners or professionals, and other decision makers across the media industry. According to Robert Pickard, media economics is concerned with how media operators meet the informational and entertainment wants and needs of the audiences, advertisers, and society with available resources. So, the development of media economics coincided with the fact that content providers offering information, entertainment, and other services became the suppliers, whereas consumers, advertisers formed the demand side of the market. So, all media firms are not, however, commercial organizations. Most countries have a state owned broadcasting entity or organization which takes the form of public corporation and which is dedicated to public service television and radio broadcasting. Many public service broadcasters, PSBs, rely on public funding, for example, grants from the government departments, but some depend in part or in whole on the revenues derived from commercial activities such as sale of airtime to the advertisers. Even when they compete for revenues from commercial sources, PSB's public service broadcasting system are usually distinguished from commercial firms by the fact that their primary goal is to provide a universally available public broadcasting service rather than to make a profit. By contrast, it is assumed that a commercial firms or private media owners every decision is taken in order to maximize its profits. So the assumption that all firms seek to maximize profits is central to the theory of media firm. It allows economists to predict the behavior of firms by studying the effect that each of the choices available to it would have on its profits. So, there are two commonly cited criticisms of the traditional theory of media economy, and both are relevant to media. The first suggests that it is too crude and simplistic to assume that the business or any business owners are motivated purely by the pursuit of profits. There might be some alternative motivation also. Media firms might well be in the pursuit of public and political influence. A second criticism of media economics is that the theory assumes that all firms will behave in the same way, irrespective of their size and organizational structure. In reality, a firm or media firm's institutional structure may have an important bearing on its priorities. For example, Rupert Murdoch's involvement in the running of News Corporation shows how some media firms are closely managed by their owners. Then what makes different media output different as product or service? Because media and other cultural output have spatial qualities not shared by other products and services, the application of economic theory and economic perspectives or economic principles in the context of media presents a variety of challenges. Because media output seems to defy the very premise on which the laws of economics are based, that is, scarcity, demand, and supply. However, much a film or song or a news story is consumed, it does not get used up or gets outdated but not scarce. It does not get used up or it does not get outdated. So, media economics seeks to promote efficiency in the allocation of resources. The notion of economic efficiency is inextricably tied up with the objectives. But the objectives of media organizations tend to vary widely. Many media organizations comply with the classical theory of the firm or the business, and their operational strategy resemble the commercial entities in any other industry, but are primarily geared towards maximizing profits and satisfying the shareholders. A good number of media houses, however, appear to be driven by alternative motives, that is, political and other types of influences. For those, the expectation that the behavior or conduct of media firms may be determined by the market structure or market forces within which they operate. And that is formalized in a term called the structure, conduct, and performance paradigm. So, this SCP paradigm suggests that market structure, that the number of firms and barriers to entry, etc., will determine how the firms, the organization in an industry behave. For example, their policies on pricing and advertising, etc. And this conduct will, in turn, determine the performance of the industry in question, for example, this media industry. So, its productive efficiency is crucial here. So, there are different methods used in traditional media economics. So, first is trend studies. So, trend studies compare and contrast data over a period of time. In assessing media concentration, for example, scholars typically study concentration indices over the time to gauge the impact of different policy decisions or other actions on media ownership. Then, financial analysis. It is helpful to have some basic understanding of accounting techniques and principles, as the source of data tends to be information derived from financial statements and the use of various types of financial ratios, balance sheets, etc. Then there is another type of media economics studies, which is case study, which offers another useful methodological tool for media economics research. Now, I'll come back to digital newsroom. So, in this discussion, I will explore the economic landscape of digital newsrooms, examining the challenges, opportunities they face in a rapidly evolving media environment. It delves into the various revenue models, cost structure, and strategies for achieving financial stability or sustainability in the digital age. The analysis considers the impact of technological advancements, changing consumer behavior, and the rise of different digital platforms, dominance on the economic viability of digital news organizations. With over 1 lakh print publications and more than 400 television news channels, the media landscape in India is quite diverse. Over the few years, online news websites have been growing steadily. Legacy news websites, that is, those attached to newspapers or television channels, are facing competition from digital first news outlets. In fact, according to a 2019 reports by Comscore, India is the second largest online news consuming country globally with 287 million monthly unique visitors. The Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2025 offers a compelling snapshot or picture of India's evolving media landscape, one marked by contradiction and rapid change. So, India's media ecosystem remains paradoxical. While the traditional formats like television, print still hold sway, especially among the old demographics, old generation people, the rise of mobile first video driven content is unmistakably transforming how news is consumed by the new age consumers or audience. In a climate marked by increasing concerns over press freedom and growing media consolidation, digital newsroom continues to surge, largely fueled by young, mobile savvy population navigating a fragmented and often polarized information environment. YouTube has emerged as the dominant news platforms with 55% of respondents identifying it as a primary source for news. Its popularity stems not just from its mobile friendly interfaces and ease of use, but also from the emergence of independent content creators like Dhruv Rathi or Ravish K, who combine sharp commentary with a sense of credibility. So these digital voices have gained massive followings of massive followers, particularly during pivotal moments like general elections, offering audiences a refreshing alternative to popular or mainstream television debates or formulaic print narratives. What draws audiences to these creators is clear, that is, authenticity, accessibility, and a direct, unfiltered connection in an era of deepening mistrust in the mainstream media. So, here, this analysis is situated at the crossroads of global transformation in journalism and the evolving practices of legacy print media in India. It investigates how traditional print newspapers are navigating their transition to digital platforms. And this analysis is organized around two thematic clusters. The first is the changing nature of journalistic practices as work in the digital era and the influence of digital media as both a and source of news and distribution channel, reshaping newsroom practices and journalistic roles and responsibilities. As the influence of digital journalists or digital technology grows, journalists are not only reporting stories but also engaging with new digital tools, workflows, and formats. At the same time, Indian newsrooms are undergoing structural and cultural changes, including the convergence of editorial and technical roles as part of a broader attempt to remain relevant in a media environment where professional journalists no longer monopolize the creation or dissemination of content. So, the news culture is in a transitional phase. The rapid advancement of digital technologies and telecommunication techniques has disrupted the traditional journalism worldwide. According to the World Press Trends 2016, over 40% of internet users globally access newspapers online. In many developed countries, digital readership now surpasses that of print. Yet, print continues to account for over 92% of newspaper revenues. Notably, global print circulation grew by 4.9% in 2015, largely due to rising readership in India, China, and other Asian countries, driven by low pricing and expanding literacy. In India, the newspaper industry remains robust. However, to stay relevant in a rapidly evolving or changing digital media landscape, newspapers are increasingly adopting digital tools and strategies. This dual pressure, that is, global disruption and local opportunity, has spurred experimentation with mobile first strategies and digital newsrooms. A key finding from the World Press Trends report is the rise of paid digital subscriptions, which grew by 30% in 2015. Meanwhile, digital advertising revenues saw slower growth at 7.3%. Mobile platforms present significant potential with over 70% of users in countries like US, UK and Australia consuming news via mobile devices. India also reflects the same trend with increasing mobile intent uh, penetration and publishers like Hindustan Times appointing a dedicated team or mobile editors to oversee the mobile journalism teams. The Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism 2016 highlighted India's growing ecosystem of digital narrative news platforms such as The Quint, Scroll, The Wire, Khabar Lahariya, Delhi Hunt, and Insp Shorts. So these platforms are experimenting with editorial styles, revenue models, and distribution strategies while increasingly focusing on mobile friendly, and local language content to tap into emerging markets. So, now studying the effects of convergence. This digital shift among legacy newspapers is evident in two domains. So, publishing with digital. This includes integrating digital tools into reporting, editing, and publishing process. So, the journalists now work with multimedia content, social media, and complex content management systems. Now, publishing for digital. This involves rethinking content strategy to compete in a crowded digital space. Online distribution demands real time updates, interactivity, and data driven decision making, reshaping newsroom roles and structures. So, globally, newsrooms are exploring new storytelling formats such as podcasts, automation, chat apps, virtual reality, and gamification. At the same time, journalists face challenges around data security, source protection, and navigating platforms like Facebook and Google. This is reported in World Editors Forum 2015. The trajectory of digital transformation varies across countries, shaped by infrastructure, resources, and consumer or consumers' behavior. For instance, the entrenched distribution system in Japan have showed digital uptake. Nonetheless, the transition to digital is ongoing and experimental, which is marked by frequent changes in the editorial, business, and marketing strategies. An example of such an experiment in India was the decision by major newspapers to block content for users with ad blockers. To analyze these dynamics, C.W. Anderson in 2012 suggested that expanding traditional sociological frameworks to include technology and institutional fields, emphasizing journalism's intersection with fields like computer science and digital advertising. Drawing on this discussion examine will examine how newsroom practices and power structures are evolving in a digital first environment. The shifting sands of news consumption. The digital revolution has fundamentally altered how people consume news. Traditional print media has experienced a significant decline while online news consumption has surged up. So, this shift has a profound implication for the economics of newsroom. Then, decline in print revenue. The decline in print subscriptions and advertising revenue has forced news organizations to seek alternative revenue streams. Now, the rise of digital platforms. The platforms like Google, Facebook have become major gatekeepers of news distribution, capturing a significant share of advertising revenue, changing consumer behavior. So, consumers increasingly expect news to be free and readily available online. Updates on news every now and then, and thus monetize digital content.